Welcome to the ShodCast. We have a special guest on the show today, Trek, the one and only Trek. How's it going, Matt?
It's going well. Thanks for having me back.
Hey, former host, we're glad to have you here, though. Mike, how you doing? Doing well.
Wonderful,
well.
Sean.
Glad to
how are
have
you?
you on the show again. First, who's that Pokemon? 2009, despite scoring 167 points, this running back was a starter in the show, and he led his team in rushing during the Super Bowl. And the team was Jars' league worst at the time, McNair's shotgun offense. Guesses?
I don't have a clue.
Matt, you had a guess last week. Pierre Thomas. It is Pierre Thomas. There he is. It's Pierre Thomas. Well, that's Pierre Thomas.
How do you remember that?
It's the hints that you got to pay attention to the hints. First talking point of the day. Matt, you want to talk about the Champions Chug?
Yeah,
What's going on?
So the whole reason I kind of came onto this show is I was remembering back about the draft weekend and all the highs and lows essentially of the weekend. And I just remember, and it's clearly different for me because I'm not there most of the time for the drafts, but watching the champions chug out of the trophy, I don't ever remember myself being that angry before. I was just like, fuck these guys. How dare they, I was just so genuinely upset that I'm just sitting at this table full of losers. I'm looking across from Height, across from Jars, and I'm like, we have some really sharp minds on this side, and we can't win. So with that, I think that it should be when a new champion is brought into the chug, something greater happens. Because it's essentially another champion being a part of that and less of the other side. Because I think right now it's either even or there's more champions than non. And I was just thinking, what do you guys think about adding a different layer or bringing in something new when a new champion is brought in, or maybe even just for the chug every year? I don't know.
I mean, personally, I kind of like the idea of you sitting at the losers table.
Okay. Just having a table that's called losers and just have everybody sit at it. This is fucking. You guys are such cocksuckers. Do you hear how they're talking about this, Height?
It's not
surprising. They're just literally walking in dog shit and walking all over us with that dog shit sneakers.
Matt has his first relevant team in the last 10 years. So, like, I love these like talking down to us right now.
And then
that's ancient history. That's
Steve. You had to go back like 5 websites or 4 or something like that, and had to find an old email on a weird Yahoo account. Like,
yeah, we're rounding up from 6. I mean, you've won my first year in the league, so. You won my first year in the league. That's it. So I mean.
So wait, yeah. So Mick, this is the 20th. So you're 1 out of 20. So height. You were in the league less than 20 years too, right?
Yeah, this is my 6th or 7th year.
Yeah, so you have 14 more years to get 1, and you'll do just as well as Mick is touting right now.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and then I can talk.
Okay, so he has to win 2 in the next 14 years to be just as good of a player.
When was your other one?
Also,
Ancient.
So
two-time
so
winner here,
let's
so
let me.
I think you guys are relegated to the losers.
Yeah,
team. I'm
I
sorry.
don't. So
I'm not upset. I mean, I've had some really good teams.
I'm 100% bitter, and that's why I came up with this because I think it like I obviously want to do the chug, but I want it to be like it's a moment. Obviously, it's a moment, but I think it could be more of a moment. And I don't know if that means like everybody that hasn't won a championship owes a dollar tax, and those dollars go towards like a beer that's poured into the cup or something like that. Something
think
that's or like a bottle of champagne or something. I don't know.
there needs to be some sort of hazing for the new champion. Like they have to take like body shots off of the past champion or
Wild
something like
idea.
that.
Body shots.
On that note, we're gonna move on. This is actually a really good segue from body shots to Thanksgiving classic shirts because you know what? Where are those things? Whose point is this, by the way? Let's give it to them. Matt, this yours? Mike?
And what a shirt to wear proudly at the draft. So Jars was the team captain, and I know there was a few times that he reached out in the group me about does anyone have like a t-shirt printing contact. I think that's where it's getting hung up is like how do we go forward with this? Do we do it like through an app online? Is there a local person? Are we doing iron on or like what's this going to look like?
I know a shirt guy.
So there you go.
Well, it sounds like you need
So,
to get Jars and
Jars-
shirt guy.
Yeah, because I mean I'd like to do it.
Yeah.
I'd like to do it this year too, or maybe how about same teams and then we double the stakes and we add something else onto it.
Oh my.
I know
Oh,
Height's a big fan
wow.
of doubling the stakes. He's done it twice to me. Maybe lost twice now doing it.
I watched that video yesterday.
As much as I like
So
talking
funny.
about the shirts, I think this year's shirts is a conversation to have in maybe November. We still got another month until November. Next one.
We do.
Facebook Marketplace. Mike.
Yeah, so I mean, this has nothing to do with the league. I just want to tell a funny story that happened today. So I have a putter that I don't really ever use anymore, but it's like a very rare, and it's worth probably like $1,000. But I'm just like ready to get rid of it, and so I put it on Facebook Marketplace for $900, and so at like 1:30 in the morning, I get a message from a guy asking if we can meet up before noon, and so I messaged him back and I said, yeah, I can meet you on my way into work. And so we're going back and forth in the morning. We figure out we're going to meet at a golf course like halfway in between where the two of us live. And so I pull in this parking lot and I'm looking around like hoping to see like a nice car, and this guy is like essentially like a smart car. I'm like, okay, well, that's strike one. We're not off to a great start here. And so I pull over to the car and I pull out the putter, and he literally like reaches in his wallet. He doesn't even like inspect it. And so I'm like, okay, so this guy has no idea what he's buying right now. And then he opens his wallet and there's only 20s in there. Like, I'm like, oh my God. So nothing good's about to happen here. And so he's like, 80's going to work, right? I'm like 80. I'm like, it's $900. And so he like looks at me and he's like shocked. And then I was so like, cause like, you know, I'd driven 15, 20 minutes to get over there to make this happen. And he was like, oh my God, I'm so sorry. Clearly he did miss the zero when he was looking at the listing. So
and
it's
it
just
sounds like you had no
pain in the
follow-up.
ass. It's just like, I mean, it's, no, I mean, I wasn't going to give him any 5-finger discount on the putter. So it's just, you know, seeing the stuff that Vince and Jarzy post on that they find on Facebook Marketplace. It's just, there's so many
Creatures.
interesting people in there. It's just so funny. And I mean, there are. Yes, that is the other thing too. Yeah, right, yeah, yeah. And you of course like wait until the person gets there. They've already like made the effort to drive there. Like they're more likely to accept it, just like the $10 loss because they've already made that effort. So, I mean, even if that had been the price, just absolute scum move. So, um, but speaking of golf, just a quick shout out to the team of Height and McKenney. Took home our championship last weekend. It was very exciting.
For what?
In golf, we are a team.
For what? Like a beer league?
No, this is a championship.
What is this? How does this relate to the show?
We're teammates and co-hosts on the show, and we are teammates.
What do you get for when you win? Is it money or is it like a trophy? Nice.
There
Congratulations. Well, that's
money,
actually kind of cool. I thought it was for like I don't know, just to say that you won something.
No.
So Mick is a hard carry. Yeah. Hard carry. Oof.
Oh, I can hear you.
No, you're.
I can hear you too, Mick. This is live too, huh? I forgot that it's live.
Yeah.
Is this on GroupMe that you're getting these, or is this like on the actual?
This is the blurriest it's ever
Yeah,
been for me. I can't even like make out your guys' faces.
Klein's also trying to push it out to 4
YouTube.
people.
Go to YouTube. Or check it out. Check it out right there.
Yeah.
Is this on? I
It's
can't.
gonna be trippy to watch myself while I'm.
You gotta kill that. You gotta kill that volume, please.
But yeah, I mean, it looks fine to me.
Yeah, it looks fine.
I don't know what Rob Cav's complaining about.
Am I drunk? I can't hear Mick, is what Simpson said.
Yeah, I mean, it looks fine on YouTube. But Simpson is leaving messages.
Maybe I just
on
need
the
to
YouTube
speak
channel.
up.
There we go.
Which is incredible. We have two live viewers, and I guess that's me and Simpson.
Let's try that now. You should be good, Matt.
Okay. Well, hopefully.
Simpson, whenever
I'm
you hear
getting
this,
personal
let us
text
know.
from I'm getting personal text from Rob Cav now saying that he can't hear me.
Personal.
Personal text.
It's getting personal.
Things are getting personal.
I come back and on the ShodCast and
Everything
it
breaks.
starts crashing.
Yes, everything
Yeah,
breaks
we're in shambles.
when you're on the ShodCast. No, I think
You
this
love
is all,
you
this
love
is
to
all
hear
my
that.
fault. Yeah. No, this is absolutely.
I think we
fault.
could.
Rob Cav, thanks for calling it out. We,
The whole time. We kind of. So do we have to go back to the beginning?
No.
People are gonna love this episode.
It's week 3. We're still not even in our mid-season prime yet. And add to it.
So-
we
so-
had to add a 4th person to this. It's a lot. It's a lot. And I do this work for free. I volunteer this work, so I admit I made a mistake there. I had Matt's audio off, but we had to recreate all this stuff. So I apologize. We still got the Pokemon in there. Everyone knows it's Pierre Thomas. We talked about we can talk about the Champions Chug again if you'd like.
No, we're good, Klein. I think we're
Because
good to move on.
You belong at the kids' table. That's just where you belong for it. And then Thanksgiving Classic T-shirts. We're still waiting on that stuff. The summary on that is Jars, get your act together here. Facebook Marketplace. Mike was heard. He told his weird story about driving out of his way to sell a putter. Is that a good?
I can't believe they sell $900 putters, by the way. Yeah, that was great. What's next?
Next up is the QB on demand. This is becoming a league. There's the putter, by the way. Beautiful putter. This is becoming a league of if the haves and have-nots. And you can see it this week from NWO losing Trey Lance. Lacombe, you are right now, I believe, in the haves column with the QBs. You got 3 healthy QBs. How's that?
3 beautiful, young, spry QBs. It's a great feeling to have. I had the same problem last year, and I got rid of Daniel Jones for God even knows what his name was with Mick, a running back after 2 weeks. Yeah, he had a great
Tyson
2 weeks,
Williams.
and he was never heard from again. And I won't make that mistake again either. Like, there's stupid teams that either draft one quarterback or in some cases a backup quarterback. And there are some teams that, unfortunately a QB goes down, and there's some that prepare for moments like this. And I will not settle for a Ravens running back that only has shown for 2 weeks.
No, I mean, I made you an offer. I'm also in the list of halves here, but I made you an offer which you rejected.
Yes.
We don't have to go into it if you don't want
Yeah, we don't. No, we're fine. We're fine moving on.
Does Geno Smith qualify as a have?
So, I don't need a quarterback in return. I think that's what's getting lost is it's a risk for me now to not have that backup, and now I'm giving it to somebody else. But, I think a quarterback should go for 2 pretty good pieces because they're that important to win the league with.
Got to give a shout out to Rafi Bombs, helping us get the show on the road. Moving on down the road.
Should he be on the ShodCast for audio engineering or something?
Let's just add the entire show as a crew member, and then just broadcast it to ourselves. Recap.
Credits.
Matt, why don't you go through this one first? Your game.
Oh God.
Lost 92 to 137. What happened here?
Yeah. Oh, you're talking to Lacombe. You're gonna have to probably specify on that.
Yeah, but you called Matt or you called Mick Matt multiple times when you were directing it to him, and it's been very confusing. What do you want me to say? I know you're setting me up for some sort of egg in my face thing here. You've already done it about the losers table. You have me as the first slide. Let's just move on.
Moving on. Game number 2. Mike, let's talk about this one. Taking out the Fruity Flakes, 106-79.
Yeah, as expected. I would just like everyone to know that I beat Becker in both of my leagues this week, so it was a very happy occasion. No injured players were involved or started, even though they nearly had a leg amputated at any point in the last couple weeks. So that's always good. My team is they're putting up points that you need to win, but they're not having those explosion weeks yet. But
Matt,
I feel like they're going to come soon.
Bombs, and my team is fine. 194-85. I'm sorry, Matt.
He's talking to you,
Matt
Nick.
McKenny,
I think.
apologize.
Oh, that's all right. So yeah, I mean the dog continues to roll. We saw massive outputs from a few players here. Allen and Diggs rounding it out on Monday Night Football, but Tua Tagovailoa with over 40 points in a very high scoring game against the Ravens. So just those three players alone enough to pretty much beat every team on the slate, and then you just add in a few other double digit efforts. Nobody had a poor showing for the dog, and when that happens, it's just a pile driving. So I'm sure Simpson is licking his wounds after this one. He really didn't put up many points. He wouldn't have beaten many teams anyway. So I guess he doesn't have to feel too bad. But this is an absolute drubbing.
Lacombe, game number 4. The Charbarbecues and the Rusty Truckers, 138-106. Rusty Truckers come out.
Yeah, you explained this to me earlier in the day, Klein, about not being able to see the screen, and I'm having that problem currently.
Well, I
and with the YouTube, it's not caught up yet.
Here we are.
And here we are. I don't even have my glasses on, but the Truckers have Tyreek Hill, and that's all you probably needed. What do you end up with, like 40-something points?
Yeah, 44.
Put on my freaking glasses here. Like, yeah, you got carried by one player, and the rest of your team did just fine, right? There's no one like Davis Mills got 7 points. Whoop-de-doo. McCaffrey 16. Am I reading that right? And then Barkley had a
bug there.
Okay. And I'm fucking putting on and off my glasses like I'm a fucking old person. Incredible. And then Barkley, I think, is the biggest question mark for Mick with not having a great week last week.
Matt, Mick, back to you. Talk about your brother's win here over the Jay Walsh football team, 134-79.
Yeah, this is my lock of the week. I felt pretty good about it going in, and it came to fruition. Cooper Kupp just continues to roll, putting up 31.8 points in that game. And Nick Chubb came alive as well. They ended up losing a close one against the Jets, but Chubb was very good. I think he had 2 touchdowns in that game. Pretty impressive. And then Jay Walsh just continues to struggle with not only the quarterback injuries and Cooper Rush, kind of putting up a sub. Cook, really was underwhelming, 7.6 points. Hunter Henry didn't catch a ball. DK Metcalf, again, in a kind of an anemic offense, just not really putting up many points. So, it seems like the woes are going to continue for Jay Walsh.
Mike, make the show great again, loses to Feel the Rush, 111-132.
Yeah, I mean, Feel the Rush is they are feeling Amon-Ra St. Brown right now. I mean, he's put up just ridiculous numbers like the last 8 games, I think. I think he's got like 10 touchdowns and over 100 yards in the last 8 games, something like that. It's outrageous. But yeah, I mean, yeah, it's true. Make sure the great. I mean, they put up 111 points. A lot of weeks can get you a W, but Feel the Rush put up 130, and he didn't really get the performances he was probably looking for out of some of his studs. I mean, Mahomes only had 17, Fournette 9, Dalton Schultz, he got injured. He only put up 1.8. DJ Chark did absolutely nothing. So there's definitely some concern. But Jalen Waddle put up a 40 burger is obviously a welcome sight for him. But they're gonna need their performers to put in some big numbers here pretty soon.
Scoring game of the week, the New World Order against the Van Buren boys, 89-78. Anything here stand out to you other than
I feel like
Lamar Jackson?
I think is this the second week for NWO winning with like a sub 90 or something like that? They're just putting up terrible numbers. Mike just talked about a team losing with 111 points. He would have squashed both of these teams. So like it's just the matchups make all the difference in the world. And with it being so random, it's just crazy that someone with 89 points, which wasn't even good before Superflex, wins the week.
Well, he's
Yeah.
2-0.
He got half his point output from one guy.
To
More
the
than half,
power
yeah.
rankings. Team number 14 doesn't change. We're not even going to talk about it. Let's move on. Number 13, Lacombe, tell us who it is.
Jay Walsh, another struggling team. I think, unfortunately for him, I think Flutie actually has him on points right now. So I think Jay's down at the bottom. I think he has the lowest points, but he pays attention.
They're my number
but he
14.
pays enough attention to maybe not being 13 for the rest of the year, but who knows?
Mike, number 12.
Our guest. Injuries and just didn't get to play the right guy this week. I think he would have beaten Brandon and Grizz. So sometimes you just get bad draw.
Pains me to say, make the show great again. My preseason favorite, unfortunately, is 0-2 with a pretty bad point total for a start. But I'm holding out some hope for this team. I think that they have some pieces in place that could still go off. I still think Mahomes and Rodgers, we haven't seen the best from them yet. And Garrett Wilson was pretty solid. So once T. Higgins comes around and Fournette starts coming around, I still think these guys are dangerous, honestly.
Yeah, I think that's a very underrated 11 team. Number 10, Rafi Bombs. Maybe another team that's underrated. We're getting to that kind of clump here where a lot of teams are very close. Matt Lacombe, number 9.
New World Order. He should be I get why I'm 12 in some sense, but he's won because he has the best matchup of the week, essentially. His team stinks.
He has 142 points against. Vince put up more than that last week.
Have you met the guy? He's got a horseshoe up his ass. Of course he's going to get those matchups. Number 8, Mike.
Van Buren boys. This is my Super Bowl loser this year. They need to step it up. Putting up sub 80 points in a week is not going to get you anywhere. But I still have faith in this team. I still think there's a lot of talent on it. I think they'll turn around at some point.
Number 7, McKenny.
The Laffertys are moving up, I think. I think we had them a little bit lower last week. And so, again, this is a team that has, some of the best receivers in the league. Justin Jefferson, Cortland Sutton still hasn't really realized his potential. Mark Andrews is, the best, if not at least one of the best tight ends in the league. So, I think with that position group, they can go pretty far. Question is, can these quarterbacks, can these running backs just kind of tread water enough to get them into the playoffs?
Number 6 is the El Barbil Charbacues. Steve making some noise quietly, maybe not toward the top yet, but he's got a good team, I think. Lacombe, number 5.
This team just stinks, and they have no right being even in the top 7. And unfortunately, the team itself's fine, but the owner, it's terrible.
Yeah, the owner's not well. They're thinking about selling like the Phoenix Suns owner, just to step out and enjoy retirement. Number 4, Mike.
The Gyms, solid performance last week. It's a little concerning to look at their IR spots. There's a lot of talent down there that hasn't been playing yet. So the team has potential once they get those guys back
3.
to be very good.
Truckers, we had some guys pop off early. I think the question is going to be, can we sustain that production from some of the higher end guys? You know, we had Saquon go off in week 1 and then Tyreek Hill in week 2. So hopefully we can get a little more out of CMC and stay up in this playoff range here.
Number 2, Feel the Rush. You know, it's funny that they're at number 2. I think I also graded them at number 2, but Rob, if you're watching, I just don't like your team. I don't like anyone on it. Don't make any trades with me. Don't even bother making offers. So thank you very much. Lacombe, who's at number 1?
My team's fine. I mean, so I'm actually agreeing with Vince on this. There's so much hype going into his team, and his team's good. Everybody knows it's fucking good. But it was last year this time that we're talking. I think it was Grizz last year. It was up at the top. You know, so like there's so much things that can happen throughout the season that you can't crown someone a champion until they win the dang thing, because the playoffs are just a completely different beast. But I mean, good luck beating them.
Way to wrap that out. Just good luck beating. Yeah. I don't know how you're going to contend against.
What do you want me to say? Like, his team's one of the best ever assembled. Is that better?
Here we go with the board bets. I don't think we really have any updates here, do we, boys? Lacombe, how are you feeling about some of these bets that you have here? You got Gabe Davis over Michael Thomas.
I feel fine. I think Chris Olave is showing signs that he's the number 1 there, and I think that it's going to be a slow transition to him being the number 1 in that offense, and Thomas is just going to slip into the unknown because I just don't like him. I had him last year, and that's why I hate him. But I mean, yeah, I think that's the only reason I don't like Michael Thomas is the fact that I drafted him for, I think, $15, and he didn't start a single game for me. And I had offers all throughout midseason to get him, and of course I didn't take him. So
it sounds like you have a little trouble pulling the trigger.
So just to summarize the top 3, I think Derek Carr is actually pretty close to top 10. I think he's 14th right now, so he's kind of knocking on the door. Darnell Mooney, who needs to finish as a wide receiver 34, is currently wide receiver 127. Bengals are 0-2.
Is that the first thing that you look at every week, Mick? Is the Mooney rank?
I mean, how could you not? It's so funny.
Mick, Tuesday morning, once the ESPN rankings up,
he had one catch for like -4 yards last week.
It's not too good start, but I mean, I don't know. The Bears threw like 9 times last week, and then the game before that was a rain game. Like, I was running numbers. I think he's like 20 points out of top 34. So still a lot of time left for him to make up that.
I like your optimism.
Definitely
they
a lot of time
left.
left.
9 times last week, so it can't get worse, right?
We can't. It's very possible. That
Also,
he's right though. It can't get any worse.
Yeah. And then I mean, as far as the Bengals go, I mean, nobody's throwing away the AFC North so far. So I mean, there's still a very good chance of them winning that division.
I love the idea of Mick having one bookmark. I love the idea of Mick having just one bookmark on his computer, and it's to the wide receiver rankings on ESPN, and he just clicks it on Tuesday morning, rubs his hands together, waiting for it to upload, and then he's just slowly scrolling the mouse. He doesn't open it up to Mooney. He goes down the list. What was the number? 130 something?
127.
Oh my God. That's
He has 2.4 fantasy points thus far.
It's not good. It's not good at all. Matt?
So that means that there's a team with like a wide receiver 4 that is doing better than Mooney is right now. Yeah. Go ahead, Klein. Sorry.
The season hasn't started the way you want it to. How are you going to turn it around?
I don't know. Things aren't looking good. I went into the year I went into the year saying to myself that I wouldn't make a trade because looking back at all the trades that I've made in this league, they haven't been great. In my dynasty league, it's completely different. But yeah, I think that week 2 is still too early to pull the trigger on a trade. I think that it's very possible that another 1 or 2 quarterbacks get injured. And then I have that many more teams, hopefully, that are looking for a trade. But it also gives me time to see if Winston's going to be healthy with this back situation. And if Jimmy G is serviceable, I mean, that's a good 1-2 punch there, too.
Matt McKenney, you have one question to ask Trek. What is it?
Oh gosh. I guess I suppose it's now that the Ed Kilgore saga is coming to an end with the the third and final installment of the trilogy. What have you been thinking about using as a team name for next year?
I already have. I have the next 3 years planned, and everyone's just going to have to stay tuned.
So can we safely say that you're not looking to leave the league like you had been doing for a year in and year out, several years?
What?
You'd been like threatening to leave the league for many years.
I can't. I mean, I'm gonna probably threaten to leave every year.
Okay.
I didn't do it this year. I pretended with Vince that I was doing it on the ride to Rushford. But I could only fuck with him for so long because he seemed genuinely upset at that thought. No, man,
Yeah.
it was covered on the documentary. The technology thing has to be figured out for it to be serviceable. But it's also the preparation on my part too. My preparation hasn't been great, but if I should need a proxy next year and the year after that, I think I have some good ideas of suitable proxies.
Mike, final questions or thoughts for Trek over here?
Yeah, what's your biggest regret from the draft?
Are you trying to bring up the fact that I traded Diggs and I gave Vince $1 for doing it? Yeah, I mean that's probably not a great idea.
I mean, this is dealer's choice.
Yeah, no, I mean that would be it, and right along with it is I really wanted CeeDee Lamb. I already had Diggs on my team, and I was going after Lamb, and I was very happy with the price of Lamb, and it made me feel much more confident in moving Diggs, which was in hindsight an awful, terrible decision. One that I could very easily at the end of the year point to as saying the reason why I lost. The other thing is spending. I would just say kind of overall spending and not paying up more for running backs or waiting for running backs. I think there was a lot of running backs later on that went for like $5, and I can't remember what I paid for Patterson, but I think it was more than that. Maybe not. I honestly can't remember now thinking back. But I mean, other than trading the best wide receiver in like the last, I don't know how many years so far, that would be probably my biggest regret. Hyde, thank you for reminding me of that.
Yeah, you got Patterson for $4.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So, and then I paid Hunt for 7 or 6 or something like that.
Hunt
So that's not
7.
terrible.
Yeah.
And I got Robinson for cheap, who's doing well as well. But I just don't want to start 3 running backs. But it might get to that point where I need to.
Lacombe, final thoughts before we bid you adieu.
No, thanks for having me on, boys.
Hey, it's always fun. Always a pleasure to have you. Thanks for joining us. Matt McKenney, we have the injury report coming up next. We got some fun images in this one too. You excited? I'm excited.
I'm excited
to hear your input on these. Injury number 1, Trey Lance. That didn't look good.
No, it didn't. And, this is an interesting one because, he's got a fibula fracture, which on its face is not really a huge problem. But when you incorporate ankle instability in with that, then it becomes a really critical issue. Fractures I think I mentioned this in the last injury report during the ShodCast. Take about 6 to 8 weeks to heal max. This is a non-weight bearing bone in your leg. But the concern here is that he's either got a syndesmotic injury, which is like a thin piece of tissue that sits in between your tibia and fibula, and it actually plays a large role in stabilizing the ankle. So there may be a tear in that, and there also may be an injury to the deltoid ligament, which is basically a group of ligaments that runs on the inside of the ankle and is also very important for stability. So those are where the problems lie, not so much in the broken bone. It sounds to me like this is going to be something that if he hasn't already had surgery, he's going to be having a surgery to stabilize this fracture and to reduce the instability that's been caused by the injury to the ligament or the syndesmosis, as well as the fractured bone. So big news for Jars. He drops out of the top half of the league essentially for losing Lance, and I think he's going to have to get creative here with the rest of the season to overcome it.
Mike, ramifications from this for Jars.
I mean, I think it's devastating for him. I mean, he spent, I think, $38 on Trey Lance, and he only has one starting quarterback currently. He may be talking to Lacombe somewhat soon here about Garoppolo. Not sure, but I was concerned about New World Order. I think from the beginning I've been saying that one injury to a star, and I think this team's in real trouble because he just has no depth whatsoever. Laviska Shenault and Dearness Johnson are just not going to get it done. So it sucks to see. Trey Lance is a pretty young and exciting player. He really hasn't shown much yet, but I wanted to have him get a season under his belt and see where he was at the end of the year. But we may never get that chance. San Francisco may decide that it's just not worth it and cut ties and go with somebody else next year.
Matt, injury number 2, we're going to talk about I want my baby back, baby back, baby back. I want my baby back, baby back, baby back. Ribs.
Chili's baby back ribs.
Barbecue sauce. All right, here are the three gentlemen here. What we're talking about here with the baby back ribs. Herbert, Kamara, and Judy. Who do you want to start with?
Yeah, well, I want to just say they all have rib injuries. Ribs, it's really a pain threshold problem. The only real danger you have with a rib fracture, rib injuries, is the concern that the broken rib would puncture the lung. That's called a pneumothorax. Obviously, if that happens, you can't breathe, right? So that's a dangerous problem, but it doesn't really happen all that often. So people crack ribs, they can play with them. It's not that big of a deal. Now, Justin Herbert, from what I understand, has an injury to the costal cartilage, which is the thin pieces of cartilage kind of stringing in between the ribs. And this is, it's funny because, Sean, you sent me sent the ShodCast group text a message about Brandon Staley talking about how, the injury to the cartilage is not as severe as an injury to the bone. I don't agree with that. I actually think the cartilage may be harder to heal. It may be more lingering. This could be something that's a real problem for him. If he can't get out of pain and manage this properly, if it continues to limit his ability to throw or to run. We saw the way he threw the ball away in pain, during that game the other day. If this is a problem, I'm a little bit concerned about the Chargers if they can't, field a healthy Justin Herbert. In regards to Kamara and Judy, again, same kind of things. Rib injuries. It's just how much pain can you tolerate? Is this something that they can play with? Is it not? I guess we'll find out how tough these guys are in the coming weeks.
Mike, one thought on these three. Who's going to suffer the most from one of these injuries?
I mean, I think it's Herbert. It's obviously impossible to throw a football without using your torso. I think Kamara is probably the one that's going to be affected second most because he's constantly getting hit, and then Judy's just, an outside wide receiver. So he, unless he goes across the middle and gets laid out, like I don't think I don't see it being
Getting
as much of
into
an
our
issue for him.
Predictions for this week. Here's the record. You guys are at 11-3. By the way, Matt McKenney, hats off to you. 7-0 last week. You got all of your predictions correct in the show, so congratulations. Myself, I'm falling behind here. I'm one behind my number, 6-8. 1-1 for the locks of the week. You guys are undefeated. That's
Some things never
match
change.
number 1. Matt, what are you thinking about? What are you thinking about here? You got make the show great again as your lock of the week. Now this feels personal.
Well, I mean, I guess to a certain degree, this is a team that I thought had a good chance to win the whole thing this year. They were my preseason favorite. So I guess there is a little bit of, confirmation bias that I'm trying to kind of play out here. But, at the same time, I feel like these guys are going to come around. We just talked about Justin Herbert. He's a little under the weather, injured with the rib injury. I don't know if we'll see him at 100%. I'm expecting bigger things from Fournette. T. Higgins was a big guy that I was really on this year. He had kind of the concussion issue early on, and I think he's, due for a big game. And Garrett Wilson's emerging. So, this is a team I'm excited about at this point. I think they're trending upwards at this point. And I like them to win this week.
No respect for the nation. Mike, next game up. I mean, we're all on the same team here, and I'll actually go on this one. This is my lock of the week just because it's such a no-brainer pick, I think. So, Mike, I'll actually give you matchup number 3. We don't need to talk about this. We've already talked about the dog enough. So let's just move on to matchup number 3. Mike,
yeah, this is a bye week for the dog.
Mike, you've got the Truckers as your lock.
Yeah,
over you.
Maybe a little bit of reverse jinx going on here. I actually kind of think that this is going to be a close game. There's some pieces of Matt's team that I don't love. Davis Mills and Hayden Hurst being the number 1, number 2 examples of that. But I do think, Matt's team is playing very well. Tyreek Hill has been on an absolute heater. Hurts is like the number 4 quarterback, I think, right now. He's thrown 1 passing touchdown. So that just shows how high his ceiling is this season. I think the Colts. I feel like I know the Colts are going to be behind in this game, so I think Hines is going to be getting a lot of dump offs. So I do think the Truckers pull it out this weekend.
Lafferty's matchup number 4 here. Rafi Bombs and Jay Walsh, Matt McKenney. We're all on the bombs here. Why?
Well, again, this is a situation where James Walsh is just reeling right now. His team is just not very good. I actually don't think this is going to be a terrible blowout. But, at this point, I kind of feel like until Jay Walsh can get a win, until his team can put up some decent numbers, the Metcalfs, the Hunter Henry, the Zeke Elliott's, he's got Renfro starting right now. I don't really see this team going anywhere, putting up any more than 85 points. So I give it to Rafi Bombs.
Mike, you're taking Feel the Rush, and so are the rest of us over the Charbacues.
Steve's got a pretty good team. Couple of weak spots. Hawkinson, not great, and Najee Harris just running in molasses right now, behind a bad offensive line as a part of a bad offense. So I feel the Rush has had it rolling with Swift. Adams has gotten an outrageous amount of targets the first 2 weeks. And then St. Brown has been, like we were talking about earlier, he's just been incredible. So I just think it's too much to overcome for the Charbacues.
Matchup number 6. Matt and I are both on Fat Jim's here taking this one, but Mike, you have VBB, so let's go back to you on this. Why are you going against the grain?
Okay.
We were all in such.
Yeah, I'm sticking with VVB. I just think there's too much talent on this team, and I think at some point it's going to come out. Brady's not him, especially with Evans suspended this weekend. It's not great, but I think Aaron Jones has had his week last week, so I think AJ Dillon's going to have a good week this week. AJ Brown is just incredible. I mean that cut he made in midfield Monday night was just mind-boggling. I mean, he's just so good. And then Kirk's been great. Kelsey, I think they're going to score a bunch of points in that game. Indianapolis is just not in good shape right now. And then at some point, like, Wilson's going to figure it out. There's a lot of talent on that team. And I just think at some point in time, he's going to snap out of it. And he's going to have one of those Russ games where he throws like for 350 and 4 touchdowns. And it could very well be this weekend in prime time.
Matt, final game of the week. You have Trek against the NWO. And what are we predicting here? We're all on the same page.
Well, this is, again, New World Order is banged up, I mean, Lamar Jackson, is on the injury report, and he's the only guy really, aside from, Taylor and I suppose, maybe Judy, if he's healthy, that this team can really, truly rely on. So, this team is just really injured. And as Mike said before, the depth just isn't there. So, I think, Trek has a more complete team. I think Pitts is, only going to see improvement from here. He's been towards the bottom of the barrel, and I think that's going to get better. So I think Trek wins, and I think New World Order probably continues to struggle to score points.
There you have it, this week's predictions. Now going into the games themselves. Last week we lost because of me. Guys, I'm just apologizing all over the place tonight. I think this is a theme here, so I'm sorry for letting you down. Disappointing.
It's all good.
Heading to the Dogs. Zone knows pick of the week. You're 3-3. Zoe in the house? Where's she at?
Zoe, I don't know. Oh yeah, Zoe's over here. She's over here.
Zoe's in the house. Well,
she's hanging out.
Here are the picks. Here are the picks. Tell me about them.
Yeah, so Vegas, I think they're really having a rough start to the season, and they're in desperate need of a win if they want to hang in that division. Tennessee got absolutely spanked. I don't think they're very good, and I think Vegas is going to will themselves to a victory here. They are on the road, so it's not going to be an easy game, but I do see them beating the Titans. Houston, I think, it is just a better team than Chicago. I think Chicago is pretty clearly the worst team in the NFL. They got a lucky win against the 49ers in week 1, and I don't think that there's any way they're going to be competitive and to be giving points to Houston, even as bad as Houston is. I like the Texans in this game. And then we've got the game with the Detroit Lions and who are they playing against again? I think they're playing against
Vikings.
Vikings, yeah. So first divisional games tend to be a little bit higher scoring. Second divisional games tend to be a little bit lower scoring. The Lions have scored more points than anybody in the NFL so far this year, and the Vikings just got embarrassed by the Eagles on Monday night, so they're going to be hungry to play and win. So I think there's going to be points in this game. I'm envisioning this being high scoring, so I like the over in that game. Even at a high total, I still like it.
Riders picks of the week. Again, another 3-3 dog here. Mike, your dog's picking KC, the Bengals, and Tampa Bay. Tell me about those lines.
Yeah, 5.5 seems really low to me.
Right.
I think I saw that you had it at 6.5, but when I just checked, it was 5.
Mine
So I
on Tuesday,
don't know.
So
So
the line changed overnight.
Did you? So I mean, maybe money's coming in on.
Yeah, lots of sharp
Indy,
money
but
on the Colts.
I guess I'm dumb then. But yeah, that number stood out to me as.
I mean,
as
they
a
look terrible,
absolute
right?
Lock.
So
Yeah. Cincinnati somehow 0-2 right now, playing a Joe Flacco-led offense. I know that they came back and shocked the Browns last week, being down 13 points with like 2 minutes left in the game. But Cincinnati is going to get together at some point in time. I think, this weekend is as good of a time as any to get it back on track, and I think they do so in a big way. So I'm happy giving away the 5 points there. And then Tampa Bay -1 against Green Bay. I don't think Green Bay is very good. Tampa Bay's defense really hasn't been spectacular at this point in the season. So that is my concern that Dillon and Jones are going to have a big game. But I still think that the Bucs pull it out. They're at home in that game, right?
Being played
yeah, I think.
and I think that's actually
Yes. So I think Brady and Julio or whoever he's got available to him is enough to get him over the hump.
The Snoop Sleepers, again, all the dogs are 3-3. But I'm taking Green Bay over Tampa. There's nothing about Tampa that I like right now. Brady was clearly frustrated last week. He didn't have time to do anything. And Green Bay's defense is pretty good. They got a pretty good defense. So I like Green Bay over Tampa in Tampa Bay. I also like Atlanta over Seattle in Seattle. Atlanta is I think they're averaging 26.5 points a game. And Seattle has not been able to put up any points. And then, again, we just talked about the KC at Indy. I like the line 6.5, 5.5. Hey, if you gave me a line of 7, I'd take it too. So I think KC is going to find a way to beat Indy by more than a touchdown.
Who's that Pokemon?
Last part of the show. Who's that Pokemon? This guy in 2016 with just 269 points. He led all players rostered on Mohamed Sanu. This QB had a career worst 92.6 rating, but he also threw career highs in yardage. Guesses?
Russell Wilson.
Matt, do you have a guess?
Yeah, I don't know. I don't even think I have one. I get thrown off significantly when I don't have a team. The team is always the big hint for me, and if I don't have that, I feel like I'm lost.
We'll have to put a note into the production manager to make sure the teams are in some sort of
or at least a division. The division kind of.